Good evening and welcome to yet another enriching session of the Podium. Today we have with us Mr. Kiran, co-founder and CEO of Chlorophyll, which is India's first end-to-end brand consultancy firm. Mr. Khalap started his career in rolling tasks before moving on to Kiran Advertising, where he eventually became the company's first CEO and Chief Creative Officer. He has been the recipient of the prestigious Ashok Jain Award for Public Service Advertising and is also a published author. In January 2010, Mr. Khalap was chosen as the chairman of the Brand and Marketing Advisory Council to the prestigious and challenging Aadhaar project. An interesting personality that he is, he juggles 3 passions and 1 career. His passions including writing, rock climbing, and spiritual evolution. I am sure we have a great deal to learn from him, not just as a manager but also as a person. With this, I hand over the mic to Mr. Khalap.
Thank you. It's very unnerving to see so many bright and bushy-tailed people at 8 o'clock at night. I was planning to go out for a drink and sleep. In my college days, this was a good day for settling scores. All the girls used to go and give Rakis to the boys who were playing. Have you done that today? Made sure that the boys never again. I was going to keep it even shorter, but on the way here, since I was a captive in the car, both Shantanu and Swati insisted that I add various things. I've added 4 cases about chlorophyll. I normally don't do courses about chlorophyll because in my mind it is like I'm advertising myself. But for the sake of learning, I've added those 4 cases, so it's slightly longer. And success? How do I know? One is normal, that nobody falls asleep, but that seems very difficult. But the key thing is for you to ask questions. Yeah? It's linked directly to whether or not I get my return ticket back. So depending on the number of questions, I will go by air or by train. This is on. Okay, so that's the way we are going to do. Introduction to the speaker. Swati has already finished, so I'm going to quickly. I just need to tell you that it's great fun doing this, and I've been doing it since 83. Yes. So the last point is critical. I'm talking to you not as a theoretician. If I hadn't cheated in my exams, I wouldn't even have done my BSc. Yeah. So, and to stand before all of you, it's a slightly scary thing. So, my sister is the educated one in the family. She does PhD and all those kind of things. So I'm the uneducated one. You know, what I'm bringing to you is practice, not theory. How do we go about doing it? Like on my way, I was explaining to these youngsters that when we started in 1999, the two big brand theoreticians. One was a gentleman called David Acker. Do you all? Yes. And then another gentleman called John Noel Capferrer. In fact, I was so fond of Capferrer that I used to teach Capferrer's theories in a college in Calcutta, where the Clarion headquarters was. But in 1999, when we started, we realized that neither of those worked in an actual environment, especially when you are creating a brand from scratch. To an existing brand, you can use a little bit of Acker and a little bit of Capferrer to extend that brand. But when you're bringing a brand from scratch, it's very difficult. So we created our own models, we created our own process, and thankfully it has worked now for the past 12, 13 years. So even people like Pepsi or Unilever now acknowledge that that model works. I'll take you through some of that. That's the range of work. So there is B2B, there is B2C, there is international brands, there are local brands, there are brands to change, all kinds. Yeah. So we'll start with what is a brand, because there is a lot of confusion on the subject. That was about, I think, a year ago. So if you Google definition of brand, that's the number of hits you get. So you can imagine the amount of confusion there. So everybody has their own definition. I'm a member of a group called Brand Professionals Group on LinkedIn. There are some 5,000 members from all over the world. We still haven't decided what the definition is. 1.5 years have passed. So somebody from Greek will say, oh, but I do not agree. Somebody from Italy will say something like that. So we still don't have a definition of a brand. I mean, can you imagine how scary? Do you have a doctor on campus?
Yes.
So if you went to the doctor and he said, I think there is some tube linking the mouth to your intestine, I think there is some problem with that tube, as opposed to saying it's a GI tract. So that's what happens when you go to a brand consultant. One brand consultant says something which the other brand consultant doesn't understand, the third brand consultant, I didn't know this at all. What is the meaning of brand architect? So there's a lot of confusion. It's also a bad habit. Is there anything wrong with that word sunrise? It's been wrong since 1543. Yeah, there is no rise, but we keep calling it sunrise. You know, and so what ideally it should be first sunset or some such thing. And that's the same thing that has happened with brand. Plus, there are new experts who have emerged. I just wanted you all to see this. This I took from your. So which is the real brand? Is it I Am Shillong or Together or Vices or Request or Symphony or Markathon? There's some confusion there. So whoever is responsible needs to take a hard look at your own brand. and there is a lot of confusion. He's not the only one. There are guys all over from all over. Brad Pitt says I'm a brand. It's not possible. You can't have a human being. So here's a human being who's going to die. By definition, a brand should be able to survive for keeps, for eternity, if somebody looks after it. But a human being can't. When a human being dies, his idea, his philosophy, that continues. So communism is the idea. Karl Marx is a human being. Mahatma Gandhi is human. Mahatma Gandhi is dead. He was great, fantastic, he did things for us. But what is surviving is Gandhigiri or Gandhism. Yeah? So that's the idea, that's the brand. Gandhi is not the brand. The iPhone is a product, think differently is the idea. Remember somewhere around 2003, Apple changed its company name from Apple Computers to Apple Inc. And they're no longer making it. Just what you do is not what decides you. How you do it and why you do it is what is more important. So in this case, he's saying think differently is the idea. Like I was explaining, why when you open the Mac, why does the inside look as beautiful as the outside? Who's going to see the inside? But that's what he believes. And have you heard of the story of his designer? Does anybody know the name of the designer? There's a guy called Ive. Yeah? Jonathan Ive, who was recently knighted. He's a British guy. He didn't get any job in the UK. And Steve Jobs picked him up. Steve Jobs, when they were forced to change from plastic to aluminium because of the shareholders, he sent Jonathan Ive to Japan. Because in Japan they make samurai swords, the katanas. So each sword has, the steel has been slapped on, worked on 400 times. It's the only sword in the world which can cut any other sword. It's the only sword that you don't need to move to cut anything. You drop a piece of silk on it, it cuts it. How do they do it? So Jonathan Ive went and saw that. Now, why do you need to do this? Because he believes that think differently is what the brand stands for. Yeah? So the idea that I will set up an IIM in a place which is cut off, which does not have access to it, that idea is the brand. The place is not. You are going shifting place anyway, right? You're going away some 3 kilometers away. So that place is not the brand. So this is just to make it very clear. The brand is an idea. It's an unchanging idea. There has to be some part of it which does not change over time. Otherwise it won't be a brand. It has to guide your business. Why is an idea so important? There are some of us who can't stay even for a few hours, or for a few minutes. But technically, how long can you stay without food? 10 days, 18, around 2 months. I think everybody is basing it on his own understanding of how long you are speaking. Okay, so this guy stayed for 43 days. He was lost in the Himalayas and he survived without food for 43 days. There is a mythology about a gentleman called Giribala who lasted for 66 years. He just lives on this sunlight. No? How long do we? So the formula that I was given, because I do a lot of outdoor running around, the formula I was given was 3 weeks, 3 days, and 3 hours, or 3 weeks, 3 months, 3 weeks, 3 days. 3 months without food, 3 weeks without water, and 3 days. That's the formula. But here is Ram Bahadur Bomjan stayed without. So we can stay without water for 3 days. Anybody wants to try? How much? I think that we should have taken bets, so it would have been very interesting. Who's got the correct answer? Of course, this requires practice. Don't try it suddenly go out and create it. Sit there, don't do. He needs to drop his metabolic rate. He needs to go into hyperventilation. He prepares 2 days in advance. He doesn't eat and so on. The boys will say that the girls can't stay even for a second. The girls will not understand. What is the point being made? The point being made is that the least tangible aspects in our lives are the most powerful, the most inspiring, and the most meaningful. So if there is no idea behind the brand, it's unlikely to be a mediocre brand. I have a friend who has worked in advertising, radio, television, everything. And he said, Kiran, are you aware that all Indian films are about only one idea? All serials are only about one idea, and that's revenge. So Mr. Amitabh Bachchan has a revenge on the guy who wrote Mera Baap Chor Hai. And Saas Bhi Kabhi Bahu Thi, the Saas is having revenge on the Bahu. So it's one single idea. When you are thinking, I'm sure you are planning that I'm karunga, then I'll go and have this big job, and most of you dream about investment banking, and I'll be in New York holding one Starbucks cup in my side. I'll be standing there and somebody takes a photograph. Isn't that the general dream? I have a friend whose sister, because she has this dream and it hasn't happened. So in Mumbai there is Bandra Kurla complex, which has these shiny buildings. So she went outside and she held a Starbucks thing and just went there. You will do all of that, and sure enough, by the time you are my age, you realize that none of that has any meaning, as Mr. Rajat Gupta recently discovered. So that's why we are saying that the most meaningful things in your life will be the most intangible, and that's why the brand should have an idea. Has anybody seen this ad before? Men wanted for hazardous journeys, small wages, bitter cold, long months of complete darkness, constant danger, safe return, doubtful, honor and recognition in case of success. Shackleton. There was a long queue outside his office. This is the guy who first went to, I think, the South Pole. On his second. And just look at what he's told. What is the idea? The idea is that safe return, doubtful, you will die. Most of you. But if you come, you will get unprecedented recognition, because nobody has ever been to the South Pole. It's an idea which inspires you. Yeah? Look at this. The moment you enter Apple Computers building, this is what you see. There's work and there's your life's work. The kind of work that has your fingertips all over it. The kind of work that you would never compromise on, that you will sacrifice a weekend for. You can do that kind of work at Apple. People don't come here to play it safe, they come here to swim in the deep end. They want their work to add up to something big, something that won't happen anywhere. Now, if you are an employee, the first day you go in, and it's not saying how many lines of code you have to write, what you have to put together, whether you should. Now most of the computers do not have screws. They have magnets. They are not going to say about anything like that. They are inspiring you to do something which nobody else does. That is why it is the most valuable brand on earth. Yeah. What is this brand? Very good. So the idea remains the same. You cannot have a 25-year-old James Bond. You have to have him above 30. He's British, so he'll have some witty things to say, right? And the world is not, his family motto is what, so he is willing to die and kill. That has not changed. But look what has changed. From here to here. What's changed? Mr. Sean Connery would go to bed with every woman he met and then make some smart comment in the morning and have his breakfast and leave. This fellow weeps over his girlfriend. What could have changed? Why do you think that happened? Why is that brand changed? Very nice. Society has changed. What in society has changed? Loudly. Correct. It's not politically correct. And what else? What is their behavior? To AIDS. So the big thing between then and now is awareness about AIDS in the child. And that is risky behavior. Therefore, the hero should not indulge in that. Right? So that's the brand is forced by the social context to change. So the expression changed. So now we have a neat little definition that the brand is an idea, unchanging idea of brand business, but its expression change over time. Yeah. Some more bad habits about brands. People believe that the logo is the brand. It is not. The logo changes many times. In the case of Google, the brand does not change. People believe the brand is the advertising. It is not. Here is the fastest growing retail brand in the world, worth 7 billion euro now, has never used advertising or PR. If you try to Google for a Zara shop, you very rarely find it because they don't have. You don't need to make notes. I'll leave this behind you. Body Shop again, 1.2 billion euro. I don't know if you remember, but when Body Shop first started, there were no packs or bags. It was like what we do in India. You went there and you took soap with a little ladle and put it inside, weighed it, and paid for it. Yeah. So when people buy Body Shop, there was no advertising. There has never been any advertising. Look at this famous brand called Satyam. Receives Golden Peacock Global Award for Excellence in Corporate Governance. This is Tuesday 2008. So you can feel very happy that you belong to something and it's won this award, but it is not the brand. The brand is lying in the balance sheet. Where somebody has made something. It's the same story with Enron. Enron won the most creative corporate governance award in the USA 3 years in a row. Just when they were doing great creativity in the balance sheet. So this is what I'm saying, that don't worry about the logo. Yes, you will have to have a logo, just as we have a beautiful iron logo. I don't know what it stands for, but there it is. And what it is, what iron is to me, is my entire experience of iron Shillong. So I get a mail. Thankfully that mail does not say, Dear Miss Khalap, Dear Miss Kiran. 90% of the mails I get say, Dear Miss Kiran, because they are expecting a nice, curvaceous because Kiran is a common name in the road. Don't laugh, it's a very great advantage. You will get a lot of new business. Then this bald guy what the hell are you? Right, so I get a mail which has spelled my name correctly, which gives me a correct brief. Then it says very clearly, but sir, we are a poor company, we are a poor organization, so we will not pay for your ticket. Is that okay? It's very clearly mentioned. All of that I get received at the airport, that I come here, there's a meal, all of that is iron Shillong. belong to me. The logo doesn't matter, the branding doesn't matter, what you write. All of that is the logo. So now there are fundamental shifts that have happened because we have entered a network century. In the 20th century, this was true. That the legal owner and the psychological owner of the brand was the same. The fundamental shift now is this. So I don't know if you have been to Facebook lately, but for the first time in the history of Hindustan Lever, the CEO, Nitin Paranspe, came on Facebook and publicly apologized. Why were they doing what they were, I don't know. It's a company where I worked in this company since 1983. I worked on Lalita ji, I worked on Rin, I worked on Wheel, I worked on Ayush, I worked on Hindustan, everything, and yet I could not make out why they were testing tea on a rabbit's eyes. Somebody found it out, wrote to them, created a big group in this level, they had to stop it. Here are two dramatic examples that these two brands, Tropicana and Gap, changed their logos. Their customers forced them to change them back. Yeah. Here is Apple. They have, I don't know if you read it, one of the articles I read was terrible, that they had nets at the first floor level in the buildings where they were making Apple computers because the people are committing suicide. This was in China. So when the shareholders heard about this, that's what they checked. So what has happened fundamentally is this, that from being owned by one stakeholder, which is the legal owner, we now have brands which are owned by multiple stakeholders. Because this, we all know, you all are all users of Twitter and Facebook and all of those things. Because customers speak to customers more than companies speak to customers. The last 72 hours is uploaded per minute on YouTube, right? And who's doing this? It's not companies. It's you and me. My friend's birthday, something. I'm into rock climbing. The only thing I go to YouTube for is to watch rock climbing. They're fantastic stuff there. So employees are speaking to future employees. My favorite trick today is when I go to meet a new client, I show him what has appeared about him on glassdoor.com. And here is this HR guy who is very busy saying, उसको मत दिखाओ, उसको मत दिखाओ, हाँ, उसका 30,000 rupees कम कर दे, इधर ये कर दे. And all of that is on the web. So tell the HR guy, what's the point of doing this great James Bond career and saying, oh, I will not show him what his HR component is and how many cars are in. All of this is there already. Your prospective employees are watching all that you are doing here. Shareholders speak to shareholders. There are all the groups have on Facebook and otherwise there are groups which are shareholder groups saying this is what we should do. Yesterday I saw one group, one company that I work with, where the shareholders are saying, let's appoint our own director on the board of this company because we are fed up. So the brand is no longer in the control of. Here is one lovely example. This is what happened in 2007.
That life is elemental, and this knowledge changes everything. We look around and see the grandness of the scheme. Sodium bonding with chlorine, carbon bonding with oxygen, hydrogen bonding with oxygen.
Yeah. Yes. Very nice accent.
Bonding with oxygen. Hydrogen bonding with oxygen. We see all things connected. We see life unfold. And in the dazzling brilliance of this knowledge, we may overlook the element not listed on the chart. Its importance so obvious, its presence is simply understood. The missing element is the human element. And when we add it to the equation, the chemistry changes. Every reaction is different. Potassium looks to bond with potential. Metals behave with hardened resolve. And hydrogen and oxygen form desire. The human element is the element of change. It gives us our footing to stand fearlessly and face the future. It is a way of seeing. It gives us a way of touching issues, ambitions, lives. The human element. Nothing is more fundamental. Nothing more elemental.
Right. So if you're a student of communication, you say, brilliant. What have they done? They are a chemical company, therefore what is symbolic of chemical company is chemistry symbols. So sodium is Na, so Tau is they invent a new chemical called HU, human, will show all this, Several millions have been spent on making this commercial. It's beautiful. But it's 90 seconds long, so you have to now, when you show it on television, you have to spend many more millions. Then what happens?
For each of us, there's a moment of discovery. We turn a page, we raise a hand, and just then, in the flash of a synapse, we learn that life is elemental. And this knowledge changes everything. We look around and see the grandness of the scheme. Sodium bonding with chlorine, carbon bonding with oxygen, hydrogen bonding with oxygen. We see all things connected. We see life unfold. And in the dazzling brilliance of this knowledge, we may overlook the element not listed on the chart. Its importance so obvious, its presence is simply understood. The missing element is the human element. And when we add it to the equation, the chemistry changes. Every reaction is different. Potassium looks to bond with potential. Metals behave with hardened resolve. And hydrogen and oxygen form desire. The human element is the element of change. It gives us our footing to stand fearlessly and face the future. It is a way of seeing. It gives us a way of touching issues, ambitions, lives. The human element. Nothing is more fundamental. Nothing more elemental.
So somebody's taken the soundtrack, put all these videos, put it onto YouTube. Okay, you are going to argue, but the number of people who watch the television commercial and the number of people who watch the YouTube are not the same. I would argue back that it continues to live on YouTube. And many more people will see it. And each one of us today is not an individual, it's a network. So he has his own set of friends to whom he is going to pass on. She has her own set of friends, she is going to pass it on to them. So this entire exercise of creating some kind of image about the brand Dow has gone waste. If you think this happens only abroad, let me show you. This brand has been around since 1868. It's a really trustworthy brand, right?
नमस्कार। मैं आपका वोट मांगने आया हूँ।
आइए ना सर, बैठिए। रामू काका, सर के लिए भी एक चाय है। अच्छा सर, वैसे मतलब आपका
मोहम्मद लाल भंडारी।
और क्वालिफिकेशन?
चलिए
छोड़िए, अपना वर्क एक्सपीरियंस बताइए।
25 साल से हैं इसमें।
सर वर्क एक्सपीरियंस मतलब कंस्ट्रक्शन, वाटर वर्क्स, इंजीनियरिंग।
हमारा इंटरव्यू ले रहे हो क्या?
सर इतनी बड़ी जॉब के लिए अप्लाई किया आप?
कौन सा जॉब?
देश को चलाने का जॉब सर। चैलेंज।
हर सुबह सिर्फ उठो मत। टाटा टी।
is working well because Tata is a large group. It can appropriate the notion of speaking on behalf of the nation. So a simple product like tea, you can associate directly with conscientiousness about the nation. But there is a problem.
नमस्कार, मैं आपको वोट देने आया हूँ।
अरे आइए ना सर। बच्चों, सर को एक्सटिंक्शन के बारे में बताओ। अच्छा सर, वैसे आपका वादा
निभाएंगे और वोट भी बनाएंगे।
और जस्टिफिकेशन?
चलिए
छोड़िए, अपने वर्क एथिक्स के बारे में बताइए।
100 साल से हैं इस लाइन में।
सर मेरा मतलब है एनवायरमेंटल इंपैक्ट असेसमेंट, टर्टल ट्रैकिंग।
अच्छा तो हमें गिल्टी फील करा रहे हो क्या?
इतनी बड़ी जिम्मेदारी के लिए अप्लाई किया आपने।
कौन सी जिम्मेदारी?
का नाम रोशन करने की सर। खैर चाय लीजिए।
हर सुबह सिर्फ उठो।
So Tata they have built it. They couldn't stop it because I have friends in environment who told me that this was the wrong strategy to follow. So Tata is building a port in Dhamra in Orissa, which is where the turtles come. The Tatas are saying no, there is no such thing, and there's only one. There are 10 of these, making fun of the Tatas. So you have a very well trusted brand, but you are going to have somebody else coming and redefining. So let us summarize the brand habits and then I'll take you through. We are at 8:40. We started at 8:10, right? Okay. So we'll have to abandon several of the 20th century models of brands and communication, starting from IDA. Anybody knows what IDA is? Not a girl. IDA? Attention, interest, awareness. Attention or awareness, interest. That is what everybody believed in the 20th century, that I am the marketer, I will create a television commercial, you will become aware of it, you will watch it 3 times, you will then have the intention, you will have interest, and then the desire to purchase it, and you will go and buy it. It doesn't work. You are a member of any Facebook or some other group? Multiple, right? So there is a group which says, what's the latest, what is the hottest phone for you now? Huh? Galaxy S. Even before I have seen the Galaxy S3, somebody has said, boss ekdam dhasu cheez hai, iPhone ki to laga dega. Now I already have this D even before I have I. I haven't seen the phone, but my interest in buying it is already done because somebody else and not the person who's making the phone has told me it's a great phone, right? In New York, some of the blacks used to hit some of the whites because they were wearing Nike shoes to steal their shoes. So this model does not work because it is no longer, communication is no longer in the hands of the sender. The receiver is talking to other receivers. This word has been used for many years. The gentleman made a lot of money. Salaries and even now they make money. They still come to India and tell about positioning. How are you going to do positioning? Positioning is to happen in an era when I told you something many times and you believed it. You no longer believe me. You suspect me. If I'm going to buy something, what are you going to buy? Striped shirt, turban, yes. What is the latest thing about technology thing? Laptop. How? Take us through the process.
I went to a retail store.
Okay.
Actually, first I heard it from one of my
Correct.
friends that it is good.
Correct.
And then I went to his house, had to look at it.
Went to his house. It was a his, right?
Yeah.
So there is no marketer in the beginning. It's a friend. Now the friend is going to tell me something irrespective of what the marketer is going to tell me. So this whole idea that I will position it and nobody will know is based on this fact that it's driven by secrecy and nobody else knows what is the competitive analysis. While I may Shantanu was asking me, how do you start your work? Do you do market scan and comparative analysis? What comparative analysis will we do? We don't even know who the competitor is. In 2003 beginning, if you had asked Nikon, who is your competitor, what would they have said? Canon or Olympus or Hasselblad. 2003 end, if they had done their mathematics correctly, they would know that the number of Nokia phones that had cameras outsold them. Not that everybody uses them for the same purpose, but you now have a phone which is being used as a camera. 2007, I was in California when iPhone was launched. There were queues longer than there are at India's railway stations. So Nokia's competitor is now Apple. In 2007. In 2011, if you ask Apple who your competitor is, they will say Google or Samsung. You don't even know who your competitor is. 5 years ago, if I had asked Reliance, if I had asked Hindustan or Procter & Gamble, would a petrochemical company be your competitor ever? They'll say, boss, have you had early morning? Are you used to drinking? Have you had a toke? What is the matter? How can you say such a thing? What is going to happen this year? There will be 5,000 retail outlets of Reliance who will sell their own brands. What will Hindustan Unilever do or Procter & Gamble? We used to get a lot of jewelry stores who used to come. Most jewelry chains in India are localized chains. So they would come to us and say, "Sir, brand कैसे बनाने का बताओ, अंदर क्या होना चाहिए, color scheme क्या होना चाहिए, हमारा logo ठीक है कि नहीं, certificate नहीं है." Would they imagine a petrochemical giant coming as a competitor? But they didn't. I had the fortune of meeting some of these IPL guys who came. So I said, "What do you think about India?" He said, "Everything's fine. I just remember flying to India in a beer can." Who would have imagined that a beer can is going to be an airline? Right? So this entire notion of competitive analysis, while you're doing it, competition has changed. Somewhere somebody told me that the brand is a sum total of customer perceptions. But if this is the definition, then what do I do with a new brand when I want to launch a new brand? There's no perception. Product brands or service brands. I was telling them on the way that when I bought Jaguar taps for my bathroom that I redid after some 12 years, that fellow said, "Sir, we have a pre-problem maintenance. Even before the problem, it's for a tap, remember. This fellow has promised me that I will come and check your tap even before there is a problem, free of charge, for 3 years. So it's no longer a product brand, it's a service brand. I was telling them about this amazing story about Samsonite when I went to buy this bag and I said, "Boss, a computer के लिए bag देना." So this guy said, "Sir, पुराना bag कहाँ है?" So I said, "That zip got stuck." "Was it a Samsonite?" I said, "Yes." "Kab ka?" I don't remember all these details, 5 years ago. I remember one thing, that the bag was advertised by this Virgin car head. He said, "Sir, that product, that has a lifetime guarantee. So you give me that bag, I'll fix the zip and give it to you." So I went next day and gave that bag. Then 3 days later he called up and said, "Sir, not possible to fix it." So I said, "See, this is how normally you get gypped by brands. But if you drop in here, I will tell you what to do next." So that evening I went there. And then he said, "So do you have a receipt for this?" I said, "No, this is 5 years ago." Okay, so we figured out that this bag at that time cost $4,500. If you have the receipt, I'll return this cash to you. If you don't have a receipt, you buy anything from my shop, I will cut $4,500. Remember, he has not asked me whether I bought that brand in his shop. He has not asked me for a receipt. So it's no longer a product, it's a service. Next, all brands are corporate brands. So normally the earlier idea was that if I make a fantastic product, it will sell. But human beings are saying, "I'm not interested in making just a fantastic product." So Procter & Gamble might make a great blade under Gillette, But if they are doing animal testing, I will not buy it. Now what the company is doing is affecting the brand. And that was my final thing until we took I'm going to take a 10-minute commercial break and give you some examples of the kind of work we have done. I was going to, remember, this was my original slide and this is after. They said, आपको करना है कि नहीं तो यही आप उतर जाइए in the rain. Okay, so what do we do? The first big thing that is different in our process is we don't do comparative analysis. We don't go out. We don't go with anything. We go with the brand owner's intention. We make him sit in a room for 5 hours. We have 8 to 10 key questions which we hammer him with and ask him those questions. We don't go outside. We go back to him with an analysis, then we go outside. So to us, inside out is more if in the future, hopefully after this great talk of mine, hopefully, some of you will become great entrepreneurs and come and say that Kiranji, please help me make some brand, and I will do the same with you. I will tell you that it is your intention that matters and not what the market wants. Right? What do we do? Here are the kind of work that we do. Either we are creating brands from scratch, or we are changing existing brands, or we are translating international brands to India. So this entire, these are brands which never existed, which we have created from scratch. The owner did not know what the brand should be about, what its name should be, what its graphic identity should be, what its people should do. This is existing brands which have changed. So when NBC Bearings has come to us, they are caught between cheap Chinese imports and expensive German products. And they said, what the hell do I do now? Those are brands, international brands, which have come to India and have faced dramatically different circumstances. So you have a brand called Splenda. You know what Splenda is? Sugar free. Sugar free is the brand name. What is Splenda there? Substitute for sugar. It's the 4th level substitute for sugar, sucralose. So when they have come to India, they have a fundamental problem. In the US, they have 60% market share. They come to India, boom. They're stuck with their positioning is sugar is sinful. And what do we say in India? Every single great occasion for us in Meetha. Second, we are the diabetes capital of the world. We have more diabetes than any other country. So anybody using the sugar substitute is seen as ill. There in the US it says use Splenda because it's healthy. When you come here you say no, it's because you use. So fundamental problem. And the other set of things is that there are some jobs we do which are only brand strategy. There are some which is brand strategy plus communication and some which involve behavior. Yeah? So I'll quickly take you through one of the first. I'm showing you 4 cases. This is he's no longer, but it was a fantastic thing working for him. So this is what the Tatas came to us and said, we are going to launch a totally new brand of hotels, unconnected to the Taj. How do we go about doing it? We want to have 50 hotels in the next 5 years, or 100 hotels in the next 5 years. So the first big thing that we discovered and told them was, do not do what we call on the diagonal. So this is what normally people do, not just in hotels, in anything. 5-star means you will have a swimming pool, you will have 2 sets of curtains, day and night curtains, and you will have a lovely carpet, and there will be people bowing and saying, and they will recognize you the next time, and so on and so forth. 3-star means there will be 1 set of curtains, the carpet will be slightly faded, that fellow can't bow. Budget means cockroaches. Don't do this, because they said we want a hotel which is available for 1,100 bucks per night. 1,000 bucks per night. They said abandon this diagonal. Do this totally new thing. What is a totally new thing? What does the guy who's going from city to city, the salesman, what does he want at the end of the day? He wants a good night's sleep. He wants warm water or cold water to be there running. He wants silence. So he wants Wi-Fi now because he has to upload his. I know previous speakers trying to sabotage my speech. The second thing we realized was that it is not to do with how much money you spend, it's the kind of attitude you have to live. So we discovered that even MDs were very happy with this brand. Because what the sales head or CEO is saying, of a particular time is saying, बॉस मैं घर जाता हूँ तो घर में भी मैं चाय नहीं बनाता हूँ, मैं पैर ऊपर करके बैठता हूँ और बीवी चाय आती है. And in this hotel I have to make my own tea. I don't want this hotel. But the CEO who has wandered around the world, who makes his own tea in the 5-star, to him it is fantastic. So that's the second learning we had. And that's how we invented the word smart basics. We wanted to take away the word budget and replace it with something that makes sense. So if you look at the ad, it's not very clear, but what you have is 24-hour check-in, check-out. Not 12 hours, 12 to 12. Wi-Fi, you have this one here. You can have food, but you have to go and get it Podium. Yeah? Then we did this. But the key thing is this, that we actually wrote the scripts for the receptionist. Because you want this value called informality, this is how you will speak in an IT center, this is how you will speak in a business town, and this is how you will speak in a big town. But as I said, brand means experience. So the moment I go there, this is what he says. Hi, my name is Krish. If you'd like to know anything about going, when he says my name is Krish, what is he doing? He's inviting you to become informal. Sound?
You have asked several questions on what is our philosophy and why you want to do this business and what are the things that you want to build around this business. So the final brand core which emerged was uncompromising reliability is something which you all want to do. And Meru name basically is in Hindu mythology a mountain which was used for the churning of the oceans for Sagar Manthan. So it was supposed to be a very strong, sturdy, reliable mountain. So that's how the name Meru evolved. And the color, of course, we had 2-3 options with us. Green color is something we thought is eco-friendly. We wanted to build.
Because you like green.
No.
So this fellow, when he came to us, he said, I want to make a cab brand. And he had gone to Singapore, New York, Dubai to check how the radio cabs brand behave there. And he said, but isn't it very simple? Either we'll call it Pro Cab or we'll call it Fast Cab or Silver Cab. He said, no, that is not the way to do it. So we took him through the entire process. And even today, he is the best brand ambassador for us, not just for Meru. Yeah? This is what I was saying, that this is what Procter & Gamble does. It starts with product attributes, goes to benefits, emotional benefit and values. This is what we do. We start from the social context and now. So our process is the exact opposite of the process from the last century. That is what we stand for, this is what will help you do, this is who we are, that is what we do. So that's what was the brand name and the logo. And then we did it in everything. So what should the dress for the driver be? Should he say hi, hello, namaskar? Should he come and open the door for you? Should he pick up the luggage? How many times should he change the air in the car? Should the AC be on how many hours? That whole thing was done along with us. Yeah, so it's not just the logo. Umbrellas, drinking water, 15 minutes. They invested in technology, so you could have an SMS. You can go online and check it. All of it to talk about one brand code, which is unchanging reliability. We handed over a leaflet to every passenger. We created ads. Now, when you see this, this is what it's talking. My mobile phone, my laptop, even my performance in my office is compared to global benchmarks. Why not my taxi? You are relating to the social context, what we discovered about James Bond. So you are seeing everybody in India, in cities, not in metros, not in non-metros, but in the cities, now has a totally different experience about brands. Why can't the same happen for cabs? So various sides. This was an interesting thing. We did this in Delhi. So we trained waiters to change the coasters. After the first drink, it said going to order another 10 to pick up Meru cab. It went on. And by the fourth drink, you had a red poster. They said, please order a Meru cab because you're drunk. This is also very interesting. 500-year-old. 14 hotels, 9 not-for-profit trusts, 5 action zones. We have to bind all of this under one brand. So this is, I'll just show you this is what we created. From here, we talked to them and said, no, this is a geographical thing, and this is what it is. Now this has been around for at least 6-7 years. It got translated, it went into advertising, it went into brochures, it went into stationery. So the notion of a custodianship, this is the king of Mewar in Udaipur. The first time I met him, he gave me a card. It was a folded card, and it says Arvind Singh Mewar, and I opened it, it said Udaipur. There was nothing else about who he was or what he did. If you didn't know Udaipur, it was so bad for you. And all the people carried this coat. Everybody who worked in all those places carried this coat as the oath of the brand. And this is the last one. CJ. This is what we had. 32 legal entities, 5 product and corporate brands, and 8 different brands. We have to bring them all together. This is the kind of complexity. So we did it at values, at emotional level, at nomenclature level, and externally at customer facing level. So if you see this, the result, all over the world, they have one single way of dealing with their clients in all 5 continents. Right? So that's the commercial break. Anybody interested in branding and marketing? How many of you are planning to go into marketing? You're not sure, or normally you raise hands like this one? What will you manage? There is a difference between corporate brand, service brand, product brand, there are B2B brand, B2C brand, there are channel brand, there are unexpected competitors, there are totally unexpected shareholders. Earlier, when we used to have this chart, this was a chart where we described the kind of stakeholders any brand can have. It used to have only 8. Now we have made 10. Why? Because this has become standard. So the Taj Group, one day suddenly Greenpeace landed up and changed all the bulbs in the hotel. This is neither customer, nor shareholder, nor anything. It's a completely fringe group which has come and changed your brand. Communities. When we were doing Tata Power as a brand, we had to go and, or Suzlon as a brand, we had to go and meet the panchayats of the villages where the things were raised, because the panchayat had a say in the brand. So that's my question to you. You are entering an incredibly complicated world of brands. None of the 20th century things that were certain are working. So what is the kind, how are you going to manage it? I've overshot by 10 minutes. So So please ask questions, whatever it is. Otherwise I can't go. Yes. Pink checks. Good afternoon.
Basically, I have two questions. The first one is on brand extension.
Correct.
Like, when brand consultancy comes, like, what are the parameters you look for when you advise companies to go for brand extension?
Very good.
Like, Lux, we had it go from shampoos and now into deodorants.
Correct.
So, I want to understand as to what are the factors you look for when because I heard it's a trade-off always between brand extension and brand dilution.
Correct.
So, if you could elaborate more on that. And the second one is in one of the slides you talked about positioning being
Obsolete.
outdated. So if positioning is outdated, then what do we base our advertisements on? Is it just on spreading awareness or what exactly? Like I'd like to learn more about it because I thought XUV 500 the entire cheetah. The strategy, I think it worked out really well.
Which one?
But the cheetah, before XUV 500 came in, the entire strategy which they adopted, the cheetah.
Yeah, carry on.
So I want you to elaborate more on positioning being outdated.
First, congratulations, both the questions are good. So, what happens? Imagine there is, Britannia makes a biscuit with chocolate inside and Cadbury makes, you can sit, I will still talk to you. And Cadbury makes a chocolate with biscuit inside. The two in the minds of the customer may not be interchangeable. Okay? So a very simple answer to your question on brand extension versus brand dilution is, to us, to clients when we speak, we have a very, remember that because we have spent 12 years on this, most of our answers are very simple, but not easy. If the idea is the same, you extend. If the idea is not the same, don't extend. Okay. So Dove's idea earlier was 99% cream. That is how the brand was based. It was based in the product. To me, that is not the idea. The idea for Dove is you can be ordinary looking as a woman and be happy. That's the idea. If the next product extension can reflect this idea, it will come under Dove. If it doesn't reflect this, it won't come under Dove. Right? In fact, most of the work we have done is integrating brands. There is a brand called TCI, Transport Corporation of India. It is as old as India is. It's 1947. They created a brand called XPS. They believe that XPS is for couriers, for document, and this is trucking. So they believe that shipping things in a truck is old-fashioned and sending documents by courier is new. Therefore, I need a new brand. So they had created XPS. When they came to us, we said, why two brands? They said, because this is new, this is old. We did very interesting creative research and figured out, told them that it wasn't so in the customer's mind, it was only in their mind. So the customer did not see TCI as old-fashioned and Express as much as the owner believed. He trusted our judgment and he converted this 5 years ago or 4 years ago, converted them into one brand. And we showed them graphically how it could be done. The CEO has written to me saying, I had the most efficient year since 1947 because the two sales forces got merged. They started doing cross-selling. So if the brand does not represent a new idea, don't have a new brand. iPhone is very distinct from, iPad is very distinct from a Macintosh, but the idea is the same. It is not possible for you to say, how can an iPhone be like an iPad? So that's simple. It's not done so easily in, say, a corporate brand. When you are doing Crompton, when you are doing 5 different companies under one brand, it's very difficult. So there is a methodology we adopt where we say what do you get and what do you give in that extension. That is question 1. Question 2 about?
Regarding positioning being
Yes. So let me quickly go back. What I am relating to is the social context. While this is true, that it is about reliability and all of that, unfortunately I don't have it now, I have it on my com. But the ad for Bangalore was totally different. Here you are talking to Bombay, which has cabs, but the cabs are dirty. The driver is smelly. He eats gutka and spits. Then he scratches parts in front of you which he should not be scratching. From that guy, you are going to this. So you are saying you are now used to things which are totally different, so you should be doing that. So the position is not about this. This is an ad which relates to your context. So to me, how I relate to your context is the first thing to base your advertising on. Because somebody is going to talk about this. In the first 6 months, this was one of the best experiences you could have. They are going through some trouble now, but initially it was so. In Bangalore, when I am doing this, I am saying there are no cabs in Bangalore, there are only rickshaws. Or in Hyderabad, when you went, there are no rickshaws. So there the ad is about when you will need Meru cabs. You are an IMA graduate, you are going for your first job interview. Are you going to go in a rickshaw? Something will spill on your shirt and trousers and you look odd. You are going to get a friend from the US, from the airport. You want to go in a rickshaw? Why do you have a Meru? So it was all about that. But so what we have created that instead of brand positioning, because brand positioning is normally talks about one thing, and your customer is going to talk about multiple things for you. We do a thing called brand territory. So there are 3 or 4 things which distinguish my brand in that category, and those are the 4 things we use. Pass. How much marks do you get? So I think it's 8 out of 10, 7 out of 10 for me.
10 or 10.
Okay.
In response to your answer, I take the case of Tata Nano. Initially, the positioning was that they were targeting those people who are not able to afford the car, but aspire for the car. So initially, the two-wheeler users were the targeted. But when they came out, after some time they did repositioning, where they showed that it is for the teenagers, and the reason is that because when they saw that in purchase Nano, the majority of the customers were those who already had a car, like rich dad giving a car to my daughter. So because of that reason, they have negotiated to the trendy look and all those things for teenagers. So my question is that, as you have told, that we have to show the impact which consumers will be getting after having the product or the service, which they really thought of, but it didn't work. Later, due to that, they changed, did the repositioning.
Don't be scared to ask the question. It's perfectly, you can ask whatever. So have you been preparing for a long time? Because all very intelligent questions. Let's go back to Tata Nano. Beautiful question. What is currently Tata Nano saying? No. It's currently not saying. What does the current
Selling happen.
Correct. So what is the problem in the first time when they came? What is the context that is? The context is that so we all read this interview by Mr. Ratan Tata where he said that when I used to see this family on a two-wheeler, I used to feel sad. And let me tell you, I have seen his uncle, J.R.D. Tata, actually pick up people at bus stops in Mumbai during the rain in his Mercedes. So the story is true. Whenever he saw women or somebody, so this is correct. But look at the context of the person who has a two-wheeler and wants to buy them. What does he want to buy it for? Not just because it is not in the rain, because it is a sign of arrival. Now when I tell you that please buy the cheapest car, what do you feel like? He has no other option than the default car. Look at when we did Indigo, Ginger, that Taj hotels when they did India, I have not said come to me because it's $1,100. I have said come to me because it's a smart basic hotel. So what they are doing today, they should have done earlier. So you are saying, be happy, take this leap. In marketing terms, it is correct. Please bring your two-wheeler. But in messaging terms, I should tell you, it has nothing to do with your two-wheeler or it has nothing to do with you cannot afford any other car. This is a smart move. So if I am sitting in that car and incidentally I was supposed to write a paper on Tata and so I have driven it. And if you sit on it, there is nothing wrong with it. It works very well. And indeed it keeps rain and sun outside. But when I tell you कि बॉस तेरे को और कोई इतना पैसे में कुछ मिलने वाला ना यही खरीद terrible. So the initial context is wrong. Yes, two good questions. Yes, very serious.
And that they don't spend on the conventional advertising level, and that's a wonderful concept. But I want to take your perspective on how far do you think that in case of the low-end utility products, this way one entrepreneur can communicate the brand.
Very good. I'm sure that you have done, you have shared my presentation. I think something has happened. So let's go back to intention. What is the brand owner's intention? If I am the owner of Lifebuoy and my business will be successful only if I sell 1 crore Lifebuoy tablets because what I get on it is 10 paise, then I have to use mass media. But if I am Cafe Coffee Day, I don't need to. This is the fundamental difference. The second difference I am pointing out is just spending money on advertising does not mean creating a brand. That is the fallacy I am pointing out. Not just that you don't need advertising. Yes, there will be certain brands for which you will have to go on television because you want to reach 100 crore people. Because your business model says that 10 crore people must buy it. But if I have to do Zara, Cafe Coffee Day, Barista, I don't need it. The problem is that you mistook advertising. This is what people even today say. इसमें क्या है? थोड़ा ad लगा दो हो जाएगा. It is not working, no. Last year, Unilever came to me. They said we have a worldwide thing. People who have worked with us for a long time, we want to go and ask them why is advertising not giving ROI, return on investment. I said because 90% of the time we are mistaking advertising for brand building. Have you ever heard of a serial called Mahabharata? What used to happen in Mahabharata? When did it appear? Sunday mornings, 9 o'clock. Most thieves in India were very happy with this because that is the time they could steal cars, everything. Because 9 o'clock the whole company would shut down. The whole country would shut down. Godrej said, this is a great idea. So they bought tons of commercial time on Mahabharata because in one shot you are reaching X. And what are the brands they have? Crowning globally. India #1, Ganga and Fresca. Does any of them exist now? #1 maybe. But the others don't because you don't have a brand idea. So you're saying, I have a great factory which makes a great product, I'm going to send it out. It's not working. So mistaking lots of advertising for brand building is incorrect. At the same time, if you need X number of brand users, you will have to use that. So it's your intention that matters. Like, so chlorophyll can't go on television. There's no, even if my name is Kiran, it's of no plus. Because we don't want so many 100 plans. Yes. Black and white checks.
So you had shown in one of the slides like the firms or the brands do not know about the companies. Like they do not have how is that plan done?
Both. You might be entering a category, so when Indian then became Ginger came, there were no such hotels. But you know that there will be hotels of that sort later. Correct? And there will be times when there is an existing competition. It is not that we are not aware of competition. We are saying do not base your strategy on competitors. There is a difference.
Say for example, Nikon, like, it never anticipated like Nokia's phone selling out on its camera feature. So, will, like, knowing this particular aspect, will Nikon take a step that, okay, we should maybe come up with cameras which are more handy and more affordable?
Yes. It could either do that, or it could say where else can Nikon go. If Nokia has come into cameras, where do I go? Where can they go? No. What is their expertise? Lens. Between a Sony camera and a Nikon camera, what will be the difference? The lens. Sony will be electronics, this will be lens. So what is another best-selling product of Nikon? Binoculars. So you will have to see where I can see. If somebody else has come into my life. How much? 8 out of 10. 9. Last question. After that, we are going on to drink. Loudly. Is this strong enough? So let me tell you the answer to the first question. Most people in chlorophyll don't know the answer. What exactly we want. Let us go back. So what do I not do? I'm not a management consultant. So if somebody comes to me and says, tell me whether my business will work, I say, I'm not a consultant. Can you tell me whether my business will be attractive to a VC? I don't have an answer. We are not marketing people. If you come to me and say, can you give me a distribution strategy? Should I go only to modern retail or should I go to mom and pop shops? I don't have an answer. I understand it, but I do not have the expertise to be a consultant on the subject. Can you come and give me a pricing strategy? No, I can't. I understand pricing, but I can't be a consultant. So there are, in fact, it's a very good question. I just recently told my people that your management guys have something called Venn diagrams, right? I'm slow in learning, so I said, they drew a Venn diagram which had 3 circles. I said, no, it will be 5 minimum. So there will be management consultants, there will be marketing people, design shops. Design shops are my biggest competitor. So in reply to your next question, this guy comes to me and says, 9 o'clock in the night, sir, chlorophyll hai kya? I said, हाँ, chlorophyll है. हम लोग ना ये logo चाहिए, logo. So why don't you write an email to me? So I'll write an email. Sir, कितना लगेगा? Depends, there's a scope and तो मेरा दोस्त है ना वो 14,000 में करने में तैयार है. आपको कितना लगेगा? Because the word brand is being used by everybody. The guy who prints vinyl, he said मैं branding करवा दूँगा सर. आप चिंता मत करें. क्यों टकले के पास जाते हो? तो लाखों में पैसा लगाएगा. So the scoping is very critical. So what I do is all related to the brand and its impact on business. But if you come to me with a business development program, I can't do it. If you come to me in the marketing business, no, I can't do it. But if you are a jeweler and you come to me and say, look, I've got this 1,500 square feet, which is what I'm doing right now, and you have defined the brand beautifully for me. This is what it stands for. Can you convert this into interiors? Yes. I can. So I will have to work with a interior decorator. Can you do an event strategy for me? Yes, I can. I can come up with 5 event ideas which will be your property for the next 15 years, which make your brand stand for what it stands for. How do I charge? We have created one simple Excel sheet, which is again something I have to learn, if you understand where I'm coming from. I don't understand Excel sheets and how, I don't understand how to do percentage. So I'm a very bad business person. It works because there are others who can do it. So on the Excel sheet, we have time costs, and we have worked out that for X type of project, this is the kind of costing, and I put a mark. Why don't I make movies? I have enough things to do. I have not made babies because I don't have time. Babies consume. So I'm already writing books. So that takes some time. I have to do a lot of research for it. Currently, in one life, one profession. Next time we try something. Yes, because one more last blue shirt. Last question, it better be really thakad and jor se bhi put.
Sir, my question is regarding spreading the brand growth. So, what role does the institution play in this regard? Sometime 10 months back I read an article regarding where Tata opened an auditorium in Harvard School and they named it Tata. Their belief was that the people who pass out of, go out of Harvard will carry the name and legacy of Tata. So, what is your comment on it? Will that strategy really work? And are there any other instances where companies have followed this trend?
I'm really suspicious that you all have done some work before I came. Very good question. Now, those of you who have not seen it, see a site called worldmapper.org. Worldmapper.org has maps according to, not according to geographical area, but according to some other parameter. So they have maps by GDP. So you will see a map of by GDP of the world in the 17th century. When did the British come to India? So 18th century. So 17th century. In the 17th century, India's share of world GDP is 29%. China was 33%. What do you think were the brands that were prevalent there? All Indian brands. Silk, spice, gold, jewelry. So brands follow the prowess of the economic prowess of nations. Simple, no? Because if you are powerful, before World War II, you would have German and English brands. After World War II, America, Japan, then Korea, then China, then India. So necessarily, another rule, thumb rule, brands that are big in domestic markets then become global brands. Okay? Rule number 3, the brands to become global will have to have a discipline which is far ahead of what we currently have. Blackburn Rovers was bought by, did it work? What were they trying to do? Exactly the same thing. That Indian chicken tikka masala was big in UK. If Venky's chicken attaches itself to their favorite sport, it will get those brand associations of liking football onto Venky's chicken. It hasn't worked because you don't know, but it's a correct thing to do. You are building your brand by association. So what is Tata trying to say? Look, Anyway, even in India, they put I think 14% of their profits is going to charity, education, medicine. So in that same way, I'm doing this for this world-class company. That is my association. I will have this. Will it work now? No, it will work in the long term. You can't immediately get that association. Right? You have my email ID, so please don't feel shy. If you want, you can always write to me. Whether I will respond is another question.